today we're going to talk about something I ran across online. People were asking, what is this I hear about something called bully dating? And I'm like, bully dating? What the hell is that? But I, did a little research. I ran across this guy's show. I guess it's I don't know, I'm not sure what it is to tell you the truth, but he was on a microphone. And he started talking about this concept that he reportedly came up with called bully dating. And what his premise is that women bully men on first dates because they don't want to waste their time, and that within just a few minutes, I think he said 10 minutes to be exact, a woman will start asking all kinds of questions to get an idea of what this guy's life is going to be like, what his life path is, where he wants to go, what he's interested in doing relationship wise, these kinds of things. And he had a problem with it. He had the show went on, I think it was a good, like, almost an hour of ranting, raving, circuitous double talk, and a bunch of empty words, basically telling black women that they need to settle for a dude. And they had all these little justifications and bullshit ass reasons why it was going to be wrong for you to ask them questions and see where they're at and eliminate them from your dating pool. So that's what I want to talk about, because me, I'm like for whatever. Normally, I don't even know what to say. I'm got tongue twisted, because when a black woman doesn't do that, right, and she gets herself involved with somebody who turns out to be a knucklehead, who doesn't support her, who abandons his children, who is half-stepping and a two-bit piece of shit, then suddenly when it's over and it blows up in her face, they are the first ones to tell her, well, you should have chose better. You should have chose better. And then they, want to lambaste you for that. Okay, but the bottom line is, okay, these are women who are following that mandate. They're trying to choose better. They're asking important questions to eliminate people who are not on the same page. But let's talk about what he said. He asked one question. I don't remember what the first one was. I was calling myself writing them down when I kept getting interrupted. But I do remember the second one, and it's up here on the screen. And he says, are your first date questions a demand or an open-ended way to get to know your mate? First of all, it's a first date. He ain't my mate yet. Okay, and if open, are you ready for all the answers, or are you looking for reasons to dismiss the person? Okay, now this is where it becomes interesting, because if you notice the way that this is structured, it puts the responsibility for whatever he says and your response to it on you without any responsibility or accountability on the man. Now, she has every right as the woman on the date to dismiss a man for any reason whatsoever. It could be because he has a booger hanging out of his nose, because he has one leg shorter than the other one, he's dressed funny, he looks funny, he's broke, he got gold teeth. I mean, whatever reason she wants to, bad credit, a crooked head, one eye, blind in one eye. I mean, whatever's her reason, she has every reason to dismiss him for that reason. Whatever, at any time, for any reason. Okay, so I'm not sure what he meant by a demand, because what can you be demanding somebody on a first date? What you are doing is you're having a conversation. Okay, and in that conversation, which is the whole purpose of dating, you're trying to get to know how this person thinks, how they live, what their goals are, what their lifestyle's like, and where you two might be compatible. And in the areas where you're not compatible, are those things big enough to warrant a dismissal of that person from your life? For instance, if I'm talking to someone and he tells me that he smokes anything, or I see him smoking, or I smell smoke on him, he tells me he smokes weed, he likes to do snort coke, any of those things, any of that stuff. Okay, I already know that we have a completely different value system, and no matter how wonderful he is and how great our communication is and all that other stuff, that to me is like overwhelming red flag, and I don't want any parts of your drug addiction. Nothing. Same if you were drunk. Same if you a gambler, all of those things to me are red flags, and I don't want any parts of those things. So if I ask you about that and you give me all the answer and then I reject you, it's because we're not compatible. Okay? That's why you're on the date, to find out. So I thought, okay, this is a ridiculous statement that he's saying here. Before we go too far, I want to let's establish what the definition is of bullying, because I think he used it incorrectly. Bullying is usually associated with someone intimidating or harassing someone else that causes them physical harm, financial loss, damage to their property, physical pain. I mean, there's something about it that indicates mistreatment and abuse of power, abuse of strength, abuse of age. I mean, something like that. You're trying to intimidate and coerce that person through threats and pain and actual violence to do what it is that you want them to do. Okay, so when a woman is saying what she wants for herself and you don't match what she's wanting, she's not bullying you. She is stating what she's looking for. Okay, now how you feel about what she says she's looking for, that's your fault. That's your responsibility. That's nobody's, problem but yours. And so, that was one thing. The other thing that he said that I thought was really interesting is he says that all a relationship is an investment of time, and he poo-pooed, like brushed it off, like that's all there is. No, that is a faulty thinking, and I'm glad he's not a relationship expert, and the one that he had on there with him did not even correct that bullshit. Okay, when you're in a relationship with someone, it's more than just your time. You're investing your body, you're investing your emotions, you're investing the spiritual side of yourself. You may be investing every dime you have. You're investing the lives and welfare of and finances of your close family members, including your children. You're investing your credit. You're investing everything in a relationship where you give your all to that person. Okay, that's usually what husbands and wives do. So to poo-poo it and say it's just an investment of time was very dismissive and a curious way to think about relationship. Because and when you really think about it, though, even if it were just time is finite. Okay, that is the one thing that we can't buy more of. We can't go to the store and replenish. You can't take it to the gas station and refill it. You can't order it on Amazon. Once it's gone, and you never get it back. So it's my contention that if anything, like money and material objects, you could just go get another one of those. Cars and shit, they mass produce those by the millions. What you cannot ever do is get back some of your valuable lifespan, your time. So if anything, the time that you give to someone else needs to be guarded even more carefully than the keys to your car or the keys to your house. I mean, that's all shit that's materialistic. That's shit you can replace very, very easily. You can get insurance policies on it. They'll replace it for you. You don't even have to do anything. But your time is limited. Your time, I mean, you never know when it's going to be your last chip is it's going to get called, and then you check up out of here. So you need to spend your time wisely and in a way that benefits you and it marches you towards the goals that you've set to achieve for yourself. So after listening to what he was talking about and thinking about it, and I'm going to go over some more quotes from his video and explain why it's nonsense. I came up with my summary of the whole situation. And what essentially what they're calling bully dating is a woman asking questions that establish from the get-go, from the outside, out the gate, what a man's life trajectory is, his value in the dating world, in the singles world, as a viable mate and a provider, and an investigation of his mindset, his values, his morals, and determining from what he says, what his responses are and examples he gives, whether he has his shit together enough to your satisfaction that you want to see him again. This has to take place before you proceed with any further investigation of foundational compatibility. And that means if he doesn't even have the foundational compatibility in place, there is nothing to build on. There's no reason to see him again. That is why he would be eliminated. So for them to think that you shouldn't do that, and that you should be open to, just hearing his conversation and spending your time with some man who's not on your page, not on your level, and not interested in doing what you're interested in doing with your life is crazy. I just couldn't even believe what I was hearing. And these are two grown men that was on this show talking the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. So then they started throwing about some statistics on the number of young black males that are incarcerated, the number that are in college, um, the number that are unemployed. He had some interesting statistics about the greatest number of black men is in prison and unemployed, of all the other races. And that some study he had, 1 in 5 did not work in 2016. They had actually no reported earned income. Of course, it doesn't mean they didn't earn any, but it's not was on the job where they could no social security number was connected to it. So it's going to go down as a statistical unemployment. So that means that's interpreted statistically as them being, outside the workforce. For white and Hispanic men in the 25 to 54 age group, the unemployment rate was 10 to 11%. This is in 2016. And for black men, it was 21 plus percent. And those are people who did not work at all in 2016. So as you see, the unemployment rate for black men is almost double that of white and Hispanic men, and probably Asian men probably have like zero unemployment. So then they using that as justification. They said, well, when you go on a first date, what are you walking in with? Are you having a perception of the world that we live in today, or you have a perception of your grandfather's world, or a perception of the white man's world who doesn't have to deal with the prison records and racial discrimination and financial impact of unemployment like black men do. And so I'm sitting there, I'm listening to this, and I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? Are you trying to tell us because you unemployed and got the record of a convict an arm long that you supposed to be considered a viable mate? No, nigga, no. What you're supposed to be doing if you don't have your shit together and you don't have a job is you need to be spending some time working on that. Okay, that's where your energy should be focused. You shouldn't be out trying to figure out how you're going to get some pussy. Okay, that's irrelevant to you right now. You don't qualify for no pussy, and if some woman gives you some, you should count your blessings, because that means she's a dumb bitch. Okay, but if you happen to roll up on one of those and she's dumb enough to sleep with you, well then don't complain. Be happy, because that's about the best you can do. But if you run into a woman who's got her shit together and she wants a man who's got his shit together, she wants a man with a good credit record so they can buy property and build things together for their children, own a home, all this kind of stuff. She does not want to carry the responsibility of that on her shoulders exclusively while you sit there collecting all the benefits and ain't contributing shit. Okay, you're gonna be living in a house just like her, eating up the food, running up the light bill and the water bill and the heat bill, and watching cable TV and driving the car and doing all that stuff. But you don't have a job, so you're not contributing anything to that pool. You just sitting there thinking somebody gonna take care of you like you for? No, nigga, no. That's not gonna happen. So every woman with any sense would be asking these kind of questions. And you saying that these articles and shows and stories are sociological, based on sociological data and the person's own interpretation of the world. Okay, what other way is a woman supposed to interpret the world but it's as it fits her? Okay, she's going to be the one in the relationship, not the world. Okay, not some statistics, her. So she has every single right to make a path based on what's going to fit her needs and her children's need. Okay, so he's like, well, we should be thinking that this baby mama-ism thing is based on economics, and joblessness has contributed to the breakup of the black family. And then he gave some examples of how the people, he don't have no money, right? So the relationship ends. So then he goes off to some other woman and starts a new family over there, breeding more kids, and then he abandons the first kids and he'll take care of the new kids. Okay, now somehow in there, where is joblessness the fault, the breakup of the black family? Is sheer laziness and no money that's the breakup of the black family? And men who are irresponsible that are the breakup of the black family? Because no matter what you had to do, you would hustle up some money. You would do something to put money on the table, make sure your kids ate and had a roof over their heads. That's what you would be doing. You wouldn't be sitting around complaining about the man and asking your woman for money and doing all this other stuff that these brothers be doing to live off of women and think that somebody's supposed to be happy and want to be bothered with you when you are setting them up for struggle love. That's what this whole show was. It was some brainwashing shit to try to get women to accept nonsense in the name of struggle love, and trying to frame it like your standards are too high. You shouldn't be asking us all these questions. You should be focusing on love. Okay, but then he turns around and he says, so I'm looking at, okay, well, you say that the money is a sticking point and it contributes to the breakup of the black family and all sorts of stuff, right? But then he turns around and he says, well, the typical black woman that went to college is worth minus $11,000 after college because, she got student loans or whatever. But they want a man who's ambitious and trying to build an empire. What's wrong with that? That's why she went to college, because she was ambitious and trying to build an empire. Now, the fact that she got out of school with some school student debt, okay, who doesn't these days? Who's balling like that except somebody who's got a scholarship because of their grades or sports or, whatever else they got going on, music, dance, whatever, and they can qualify for a scholarship. But other than that, these parents are coming out of pocket is for what they can afford, and then the rest are loans, grants, scholarships, whatever you can do, getting a little side job, whatever you do, what hustle you got to go on to get that money to pay for your schooling. And if you got, in the right career, you're going to have that $11,000 debt for a year or two, and then it's going to be gone because you're going to be in the workforce. So to sit there and say, well, after college, they have this debt. Okay, but the nigga, your ass never went to college. So what's your excuse for having debt? You ain't done shit. And you got debt up the yin yang, or you don't have no money at all. And then you complain about somebody who got a college degree and it is $11,000 in debt. That ain't shit. Now let's talk about people that's, $3 million in debt, $150,000 in debt, something like that. That might be a little bit more daunting. But, $10,000, $11,000, that's nothing. You'd be more debt than that to buy a car. So I don't really understand why that was such a big deal. And then he was complaining about, women saying that they want a man who's $1 million earner. They want somebody who's $1 million earner. Do you know? Okay, so I said, well, $1 million, that don't really seem like that much. But let me just, put my calculator to work out here and just see what this really is all about. Okay, so he's saying that we bully, and those are toxic relationship goals, toxic ambitions to want $1 million black man. Okay, but no, he specified making $1 million in his lifetime. That is chump change. Okay, you talking about 5 or 10 million, then you might be looking at a little more challenge. But $1 million, that's nothing. I probably already made that 3 or 4 times. But it's like, okay, so think about it. Okay, say someone starts working, they get out of college, and they're 21. Okay, and they get a job, and they stay in the workforce for 40 years. So now they're 61, and they decide they're going to retire. Okay, that's 40 years. That's 480 months, because each year's 12 months, right? So that's 480 months. So to make $1 million, it requires that a man only needs to make $2,083.33 a month. And these clowns was on this radio show complaining that women do not have the right to ask for a man who can make $1 million in his lifetime. What is he making, $4 an hour? Come the fuck on. Really? That's about $2,000. That's chump change. That is chump change. You need to be making that every week. That's all you making a month, and you complaining that that's the standards for a woman is too high. Oh my God, I'm telling you, I was appalled. And I'm saying if a dude is making that much or less, then he's broke, and he needs to do something to raise his ship up. Go back to school, go to a trade school, learn something, do something with yourself, because you need to be more marketable. And that's the same thing the complaint I had about the men. He talked about, the brothers have all these unemployment rates. Okay, when you drop out of high school, what the fuck do you expect you're going to be but unemployed? These are people who are unemployed that got master's degrees and stuff. And you don't even have a high school diploma or a GED, and you complaining that you can't get a job? You think? You say you made yourself unmarketable by the choices that you've made. You got drugs and shit in your system because you can't stop smoking weed. And so you do the drug test and then you fail and then you don't get hired. I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons why black men are unemployed. And it doesn't have anything to do with black women. It has to do with you. It has to do with your lack of direction, your lack of focus, and your life choices that you think somebody's supposed to come along and sacrifice what they've built for themselves to bring you along. No, nigga, no. You gonna sink over there by your damn self. You the one that picked up that crack pipe. You the one that picked up that weed. You the one that's over there walking around with a gun in your thing, shooting up places and getting arrested and shit, robbing people, doing home invasions, breaking and entering in cars, stealing cars and stuff. So all the stuff that you do, and you might grow out of it. I'm not saying this is a permanent lifestyle, but the bottom line is those are choices that you made. It impacted your life, and now it makes you lower on the dating pool when the woman is looking for a solid together man. You're not that guy, so don't get mad at her. Be mad at yourself because you made stupid choices in your life. You did dumb shit. Okay, and now a woman who's got her shit together, she don't want no parts of you. She's not even checking for you. You on trying to call yourself going on a date with her. She finds out all this kind of nonsense about you. It's a wrap. She don't have no time for you. Then he started whining about the dollar. It's like, well, yeah, what about love? Is it possible for black people to love each other without social mobility? That's a byproduct of wealth and money, finances, resources. Can't we just say fuck love then and give up on the true meaning of relationships? If you mean it that you can only love me if I provide for you? Damn Skippy. Because if I can provide for myself, then what do I need you for? What are you doing to contribute to my life? Why do I need you here? Love don't keep the lights on, nigga. It don't put no food in nobody's stomach, and it don't pay for gas to my car to go to work. Love does nothing. Okay, you need to come with some other shit and with your love. It's like coming with a half-baked cake, and you think somebody's supposed to be happy to get that soggy mess that you put on the table and try to put some frosting on. It's nasty, and it's not going to work. Okay? Half-baked cakes, half-baked niggas, two fucked up things. And so you just don't really want to be bothered with either one of them. So then he says, let me find that part. He was just talking so much smack. So, that women ask social game questions, like, where did you go to school? What's your credit score? How many kids you have? I don't know anybody who would ask that on a first date, but I'm suppose there may be some out there. And he says that all those questions, the woman asks all these questions, and she feels like if the guy gives good answers, that it creates a good situation for them. So they get into a relationship, and then they realize that there are other issues that they didn't ask about, like the guy's selfish or jealous or emotionally undeveloped and lazy and a poor communicator and all this stuff. And that the spiritual side of a relationship has atrophied as everyone's focus is on the social aspect. And let me throw this in here. In my video, the man, what is it called? The man exposing the man. So I forgot what the title is. I'll try to link to it after I look it up. I have so many videos I can't remember all those titles. But unmasking the man behind the mask. I think that's the title of it. The man behind the mask. Okay, so in that video, I give women suggestions for questions to ask on early dates. I don't necessarily say all first dates, but early dates to uncover how a man thinks, what his plans are, how he analyzes situations, what excites him, what turns him off, what makes him afraid, what makes him motivated. These deep questions so that you can understand how a motherfucker thinks. That is more important than all this other stuff. If you understand somebody is a person who's very aware of who and what they are, is striving to make changes, maybe doesn't like some things choices they made, but they've put corrective measures in place without anybody telling them to do it, all these kind of things. Those are important things to know because it's going to give you an idea of who this person is on the inside as well as what they have accomplished, which he says are social things. But, I'm thinking, a lot of social things are necessary. You need to have a job. You need to have an education. You need to have good credit if you want to build something in this world. That's just either that or you got to have a lot of cash. I mean, one or the other. But to say that a woman could concentrate more on those other things and less on the social aspect is wrong. You need to have both. And you both are equally important. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a situation where most marriages break up, relationships break up because of finances. That shows you how important social things are. A woman gets tired of carrying the burden for a man who's not pulling his weight. Okay, and that's what a lot of these dudes do. They want to talk about, well, baby, but I love you. And some women are dumb and they, go along with that. But others are like, well, what's that? Love ain't feeding me. So what's that got to do with anything? It's nice that you love me. Where's your paycheck? Let's talk about that. These bills here need to be paid, and your love ain't paying them, nigga. It's not paying them. So then he's going on and he's complaining about the dollar, how the dollar used to be worth a lot more. But it doesn't matter because people still were working in the same social structure that they're working now. People had employers. Okay, people own small businesses. None of that's changed. So, if you know that what the expenses have increased, then that means you might need to get a second job then. You need to negotiate for a raise. You need to go back to school to increase how many, your productivity. So instead of making $10 an hour, you get a better job and now you make $25 an hour. But that's all your choice. That's like working smarter, not harder. But that's a choice that you have to make. And no woman is going to give you a break for you falling down on the job and you're being accountable and responsible for yourself as a man should. I'm just like, I don't understand what his premise is and why they thought that women should just settle for any old thing that comes along and anything out of a man's mouth with all these excuses about slavery and mass incarceration and all of that stuff. So it's like if you know that that's that's what you're facing by making certain choices. You decide to deal drugs, you decide to do a break and enter, you decide to go jack somebody's car or something, and you know that that's a possible ramification of the decision that you made, and you decide you don't want to be a prisoner, a convict, you don't want a record, then why would you do what's going to make you have that thing? You're making these choices, and then you want somebody to be, go easy on you when it's time for you to get a good woman. No, a good woman wants a man who modeled proper behavior for himself and made smart choices. She doesn't want somebody who's a dummy and coming along talking about, well, I spent 10 years in prison, but, I'm a good black man. No, nigga, no, you ain't. You's dumb. Okay, because otherwise you wouldn't have been in prison. And you was in prison for that long. I know you was fucking men. So ain't nobody stupid. We know what was up with you. Whether it was by pressure or consent, it still happened. So ain't nobody trying to be dealing with you. That's just not how it is. That's why black women are falling dead now with AIDS. Because all y'all hopping in and out of prison and up and in and out of each other's asses. It's ridiculous. So they feel like if a woman has these high standards, right, she's asking a guy these questions, that's bullying him. And she says that it's not that a relationship, the whole dating process should be about making a connection, not about weeding people out. No, my brother, you're wrong. It's about weeding people out. It's just like they do when you interview for jobs. Everybody's going to apply. A whole bunch of people might meet the minimum qualifications, just like in dating. But then you start the interview process. You put them in you do situational exercises, same as we do in dating interviews. And you find out their employment history, their educational history. You check their references. And then you find out that this person lied. This person ain't what they said they were. They don't really know what they're talking about. They exaggerated, they embellished, they did all kind of stuff. And then you read them out because they aren't of the stuff that you're looking for. Either that, or maybe they are, but somebody else is better. Okay, so either way, you're going to get eliminated. You're not going to make it to round 2. And, they feel like, well, it's about making a connection. No, it's not. Because a woman with any sense is not going to want to connect with somebody who's going to set her up to be in a struggle love relationship. She's going to eliminate him because that's not what she wants. And you guys trying to just justify this nonsense using all these things, this poor we, woe is us situation to try to get women to feel sorry for you and get into a relationship with you based on finding love and holding the black community together. No, that's your job. Okay, y'all fell down on it because you couldn't control your dicks, and you're having babies right and left. And as you said, they said themselves. I didn't say this. That was a quote from the show, said by two black men. That the men will get, the situation blows up, and they move on, and they have more kids. Okay, this is the same nigga who had financial problems, was broke at this other place that he couldn't hold the situation together. But he gonna go get some new woman and be broke over there and still have more kids. I say some of that I have to fault you ladies too. You know the motherfucker broke. What you doing? Use your birth control. You having babies by broke motherfuckers. What is wrong with you? He don't have no money. So why are you having a baby with him? Babies are expensive as hell. You tripping. Okay, but he tripping too because he's supposed to be a man. He's supposed to be a leader. He's supposed to be setting the foundation for the community and the family and all this old stuff. And instead, he acts like a big baby and wants you to accept him the way he is and love him even though he ain't got shit and ain't about shit. Pfft, please. They was just doing the most on that show. I just was like rolling my eyes so hard, I couldn't believe it. So, in essence, in closing rather, ladies, make the choice that's best for you and try to make a smart one. If you got any kind of confusion about it, there's dozens of videos on this channel that will guide you on how to make smarter choices, how to do this interview process, and how to weed out men that are on a whole, not only in the same page, but in a whole different book than you. Okay, you have to get rid of them. There should be no compromising on that. If he's not, got the basic standards of manhood in place, some decent values, some morals, and some self-control, he's able to speak to you and communicate to you. He's non-violent and cooperative and all these things that you need to have a successful relationship. If he doesn't have any of those things or only half of those things, he's not worth your time. He's not. And then you just move him on and move to the next one. But, when you get to that point where you think that you're going to settle because you want to help lift the black man up and do all this stuff, you're going to be in a struggle love relationship looking old and raggedy before your time, skin all wrinkled up, hair falling out and shit, blood pressure high, diabetes, overweight, and all the things that happen to women when they're dealing with a lot of stress in a relationship. And you not really understanding that it was all because you made a dumb choice by letting a man into your life who had no right to be there. He didn't earn the privilege of being there. He's not worthy. Okay, and they was like saying these one thing, they flip it over, they were saying something else that was contradictory. It was very crazy. But read the slides that I have up. Understand what this is just another game to get black women to settle for nonsense. They come at it, every couple of weeks there's some new twist on it, but it's all basically the same thing. It's all designed to get the same result, which is for you to accept a man who ain't shit, ain't about shit, and ain't gonna never be shit, while you carry the load of the relationship. He's gonna talk some good game and lay some pipe and all of that. But as far as all the work and the responsibility of being an adult, of taking care of the business financially and taking care of the home, that would fall on you. I mean, he even went so far as to say that love is more important, and that somebody being on a grind, which basically means working hard and always looking for opportunities to make more money, interferes with love. And I'm like, okay, wait. You a young man, that's when you're supposed to be on your grind to establish yourself as an adult so that you qualify to be somebody's daddy, a husband, a father, a homeowner, a business owner, whatever it is you're trying to do. That's what you're supposed to be doing during your young years, is being on your grind, not pussy hunting. Okay, you're not ready. You don't have nothing. You don't qualify. So, the message that they were giving to men here is one of irresponsibility, a lack of accountability, and definitely not focusing on what they needed to be doing with themselves as men. Even though at one point during the recording, he said that, we need to start pushing ourselves to have better conversations, relationships, and healthier chances for our children to grow up in two-parent homes. Well, where in that conversation did you suggest what men should do to make those things happen? See, all the responsibility was on women and how they, quote, bully date, instead of looking at what it is that they're asking and what they're trying to establish for themselves, and how men don't meet those standards, and that's why they're getting rejected, aka weeded out. Okay, now If you type in bully dating, I'm sure you'll pull it up. I don't never mention people's names, and I don't give out their URLs. I just talk about the issues. That's my pattern. That's my standard to on my channel. I do not give out names. You figure out who it is. You go on over there and you handle your business and listen to what they have to say, and then you compare it to what I have to say and see where I'm coming from. And I hope that you understand everything that I said and that it makes sense to you. Of course, if you need clarification, just post your question down in the comment section below, and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. I'm not doing Tell It Tuesday tonight. I really just don't feel well. That's why I'm not on camera. And I'm going to lay my ass down. But I wanted to leave this for you guys, and hope that this fills in for you. I'll be on tomorrow. I'm doing an interview tomorrow, so I'll be on live on Wednesday and then again on Thursday with Topic Thursday. But I need a break today, and I'm giving you all this though. All right, so I'll talk to you soon.